Broxton, and on behalf of the International Film Music Critics Association, I would like to present the 2014 IFMCA Award for Best Score for a Television Series for the second year in a row to Federico Jusid.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you so much to you. Thank you so much to the association. And thank you so much to all the production and the crew of Isabel, Jordi, as director. And again, thank you for the association to bring some light into our work. Thank you very much.
Federico, congratulations again on winning the award, second year in a row. For people who may not know a lot about you, can you just basically go into your background a little bit and where you come from and how you got into film music?
Okay. I'm going to try to make it short. I'm not that young, so I'm ready. Some time before. I was born in Argentina, and when I was 20, I got a scholarship, came to the U.S., studied in New York. I lived there for 4 or 5 years. Then I moved to Europe. I was a concert pianist, so I was performing all around and studying, but already writing for films. And I always wrote music for the concert hall and for films. And eventually I landed in Spain. There was a lot of co-production between Argentina and Spain, film co-production. So I ended up living there, and I became Spanish. And I already have been there for, I would say, 14 years. And around 2 years and a half ago, I started jumping back and forth, LA, Madrid.
Right.
And I keep doing so, but I'm mostly here now.
Now, Isabel is a Spanish TV series. Can you talk a little bit about how you got the job in the first place? And I'm sure a lot of people in the United States won't really know what the show is about. So can you talk a little bit about that and also about the type of music that you write for?
Mm-hmm. Well, I had worked with this production company before. They produce very good TV shows, very well taken care of, usually period pieces. And they started developing this show, Isabel, that it's a show about Isabel, the queen, and Fernando, the king in the 15th century. And the show extends for 3 seasons. We've done 39 episodes. And the show is about that time where Isabel and Fernando unified the different kingdoms of Spain. Spain, it was not a country, it was just a bunch of kingdoms, sometimes not very friendly with each other.
Right. So
they had a difficult time getting all the interests together and fighting against the Muslims at that time. That the south of Spain was all
the Moors.
The Moors at that time.
The Reconquista.
Exactly. The Reconquista. So they were fighting against the Moors, and at some point they were fighting against later on against France. It was a very convulsive time, very agitated, turbulent time. Yeah. So the show, all that very epic kind of plot allows for this, I would say almost old-fashioned kind of music where everything is very grand and very big, and allows for a very thematic score, thematic-based score with big orchestras and choir, and people get killed and get chopped and then the Inquisition.
I was going to say there's a very religious sound to the music too. Obviously, that plays into that.
Yes, I would say that Isabel has different, very intense, all of them, but different lines. One is the development of this young teenager that becomes a queen. The other is the love story between Isabel and Fernando. And the other line is the religion, the Catholic Church, the Inquisition, the Jews, and the Moors, and how they were dealing with each other. Basically, a lot of blood going on.
Nothing changes really, does it?
Actually, no. Just the forms
right.
in which we bother each other, but not deep down is the same.
Now, what I noticed about the 3rd season is the real prominence of choral work in this season over the previous two.
Yes.
Can you speak about that for us?
Well, perhaps I'm not as conscious of that. What I do remember composing for the first season is that the first season had more, I would say, almost naive colors. I mean, it was Isabel discovering the world, it was this very, very young teenager becoming a queen. So there was even some infantile color to the music, as opposed to the third season that it's very dark. And also I would say the third season, it's mostly, Isabel loses her child. I mean, she overlived. Is that the word? Outlived.
Yeah.
Excuse my English. Outlived their some of her child. So it was a very, painful. She loses her mother, and then there's a lot of death, not only around her, but all over. And then music becomes more tragic, I would say. And at the same time, religion becomes religion and power, against Portugal. Then in the third season, there's the New World, the idea of the New World, and Columbus appears.
Right, she funds Columbus, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because Columbus first tries to make a deal with the Portuguese king, and then he doesn't get a good deal, so he comes to Castilla to see what he can get. It's a fantastic character. So it's way more raw, the third season. And then I was lucky enough to be recording with in Spanish it's RTV, which is the National Symphony and Choir from the National TV network, which is an incredible thing to do in general, but especially in Europe, to have such a huge orchestra and choir of really high standard just there to record the music.
Well, for fans of period piece music, the series has been wonderful. Now, I have a question for you. My understanding is this production company is planning a TV movie, La Corona Partita,
yes,
followed by a new series, Charles the First.
Yes, Charles the Fifth.
Charles the Fifth. Are we going to be blessed with you securing?
I don't know if blessed is the word, but you're going to have to stand my music again. Yes.
Oh,
I have been working.
Wonderful.
I have been working in Charles V now for almost 8 months, I'd say. Writing, recording, and now we're delivering episodes every 10 days. And I just got a few days ago. La Corona Partida would be like the split crown or something like that in English, and it's and basically that TV movie is about the period between Isabel and Charles V, and actually they're gonna release it in the movie theaters.
Oh,
yeah, it's like a TV large production, so they're gonna go first in theaters and then they're gonna go on television.
Do you find that there's a difference in the way you work depending on whether you're working on a movie or whether you're working on a TV series, or is the approach always the same?
Okay, technically it's slightly different because unfortunately we have very little time, and in Spain we cannot afford to go record every week with an orchestra, and I know some of the shows here have that fortune, not all of them, but and in all these shows the music is entirely recorded. There's not a synth or a sampler. It's acoustic. So I don't have an orchestra waiting for me every Saturday. Do we need to? Let me just. I can rephrase. It's coming back. It's coming back. So again, we don't have an orchestra every Saturday waiting for us. So sometimes I have to record. I have I don't know, perhaps an entire week with the National, Symphony and Choir. So I have to see a lot of episodes ahead, episodes that sometimes are locked, with picture locked, and sometimes not. So I have to write music in a preventive way, in a way, so that sometimes that music needs to be a little bit edited. And then the difference aesthetically, I would say, for all of us composers, is that when you work for a movie, you know that you're going to have an audience there, focused, just paying all its attention to the film, to the music. So your speech, it could be, I would say, subtler. It could be, in a way, less linear.
Right.
And as well, on television, that the audience perhaps is watching the show and texting the telephone and cooking and perhaps, taking care of the kids or the grandchild. So for that, sometimes composers have are required to get the attention of the audience. So sometimes we get a little bit more, I don't want to say obvious, but it's more direct.
Right.
Because we have this very narrow concentration span from the audience. So
you have to remind them that they're watching TV.
Exactly. It's a TV show, what's going to happen, and then a lot of cliffhangers and what's going to happen. And so I would say that's the main difference, that your discourse, your speech has to be, straight punch in a way.
Speaking of differences, do you find that there's a difference between working on projects in Spain, in Europe, and working on American projects? Because you've done a couple now with,
yes,
you did some additional music for Exodus,
yes,
and so on and
absolutely.
so forth. Is there a difference in how you
Oh,
work?
very much
Really?
so. Very much so. I hope no one gets offended there. There are a lot of differences, yes. First, aesthetically, in a way, most of European film industry is more based in art films. So you have your chat with the director, and he tells you what he wants, and you don't have to follow a temp track, and he does tell you what he's expecting, but the conversations are more narrative based.
Right.
While here, I'm working on my 4th project now, and that happens too. But on top of that, sometimes you have to follow a temp, or you have to listen to, other voices, like a music supervisor, like a producer, and then the industry is different because you work in a film that it's more genre based, so you take care of pulsing, time, tension. It's a little bit a different focus.
Which do you prefer?
Actually, I hope that I can maintain both.
Good answer.
No, but because I really enjoy, in a way, we are like actors that jump from one field to the other. So I think it's fun not always to write like Isabel, but to go from Isabel to, after Isabel, or after Charles V, I did Kidnap, which is a thriller, and it's so much fun because it's like fresh air.
Right.
And then you go back to something very emotional, and most of the work I'm doing for Spain is highly, thematic and emotional, which I enjoy a lot. So in a way, it's like renewing all the time your custom, and it's very healthy because when you go back, you have a perspective because you come from a different land. So in a way, it's good. Of course, I mean, the more freedom you have in any field, it's more interesting, and it's more challenging too. When a director tells you, I want this character to feel, I don't know, anguish or and it doesn't tell you anything else. It's a lot bigger problem than following a temp. But I like that bigger problem. That's why composers we do this.
And when you're working, how many episodes are per season do you guys have?
Usually 13.
13, so they're kind of like network here. So when you were working on a season, and you guys have 3 seasons, are you treating each season as like its own act? How do you do you structure your entire score for 13 episodes off the bat, or you just kind of do it one at a time?
No, we do one at a time, but
Mhm.
but we do a lot of talking before. At least that's what I do. I don't know about my colleagues, the way they approach their shows, but all these shows, I spend a lot of time with the main director and the production, and I do read the entire arc.
Right.
So what as I'm writing for the first episode, I know where that character is going, so that I can in a way think, okay, this theme,
Right.
like
Map
it,
it out.
exactly, map it out a little bit. For instance, in Isabel, the way we first introduced her, like in the first season, just like you said, in the first season, her leitmotif, it's presented in a very open, almost naive white way, and then with that same motif in the third season, there's a very dark fugue, way more dissonant, but it's good to know.
Right.
It's good to
That
know
charts her progression of her character across
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you know where you're going. But what it's really good to me, at least, is to spend a lot of time reading the scripts and talking to your filmmaker, and in the case of Isabel, I usually visit the studios, the set where
Yeah.
they're shooting, because it's really, when you think in terms of orchestration and how clear or how dark or how big or how grand, you go to those sets and you go, okay, this is not a bit too much. And then the interesting thing about Isabel is that they shot in natural places, because in Spain you have, it's not Disneyland, you have the real castles. You don't need to go to Anaheim. It's there. So I've known most of the places where they're the natural sets where they're shooting. So it's great.
Right.
Alhambra, for instance, it's an incredible place in Granada. It's an amazing thing.
And that land must also help influence your music and the textures and everything, to be able to see it, to be there, walk it, to kind of be in it versus just seeing it from the screen.
Oh, absolutely!
Yeah. It's
It's very, very inspiring to be there and then they sent me very rough cuts. I don't wait until having even a scene together. Sometimes the director would send me, okay, we shot in Alhambra, and I said, just send me the roughs. Let me just the shots, because you see those shots and you start to read that, and then the people wearing those costumes, it sets you in a different. I mean, music comes out in a different way, and the way they speak. I'm afraid that in English you cannot tell, but the way they speak in Isabel is not contemporary Spanish. It's not exactly all Castilian, but
Right.
it's closer to all Castilian.
It's almost like Shakespearean English, right?
Almost.
Right.
Not that. I mean, not very pure, because people would probably wouldn't understand it, but
But it's the same kind of idea.
exactly. But that's
Yeah.
the idea. So there's a different language, there's a different way to approach, and there's a different way to, when two characters would touch at that time, would have a different meaning than two characters shaking hands. Now everything has a different posture and a different rhetoric, so that makes the music different and have a different gesture and a different time.
Now, speaking of the music, for your fans, your production company was generous enough to allow a CD release of your music. Are we
Yes.
going to be treated to the same thing for the third season and maybe your new projects?
I hope so. I really hope so. And I don't know about the third season, because actually, well, in Spain, there's a publishing that it's held by the network. So there's a lot of bureaucracy there. But hopefully, yes. Hopefully we'll take it out, and we'll probably do a few concerts, with the orchestra and the choir, with the music of Isabel and Charles V. Luckily, with screen and hopefully with a few actors, probably.
Because we in the IFMCA were able to assess the score, as you know, but the fan base out there were really dying for a release, and they were very happy when it eventually did happen.
Yes.
So the demand is out there.
I know, and I want it out. So my office is pushing hard to jump all the hurdles, the bureaucratic hurdles to get it.
Isabel is over now, right? The show
is.
That show, there won't be, there isn't a season 4.
No, she died.
I'm sure.
Unfortunately, she died.
We're doing America with it. Spoiler alert.
Right.
Even though you could just read the story about it.
She died. At some point, she died.
But like Craig said, they're continuing the story with
Exactly.
the TV movie. So, yeah.
Exactly. There's a TV movie, and there's Charles V, and basically Charles V it would be Isabel grandson. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's everything. Thank you so much.
I hope you
Federico.
find it.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for
you,
your time.
guys.
And
Thank you.
congratulations on the win again.
And
Thank
we
you
wish
so
you
much.
continued success.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your support, guys.